Team No Excuses presents The Ray Lewis Show.
I gotta check in with everybody who's back, who's checking in every week with me to see what's going on. And anybody who's new, and this is your first time, I always say it, buckle up, right? There's always nuggets, if not from myself, my guest always has something going on. Listen, I'm really excited about today. Checking in, man. Like life is so funny when you push yourself to certain limits and you want to figure out life, but you have to go backwards sometimes, honestly. And this next guest that I'm having on, he doesn't know this. I think I told him this one time before, but in high school, I wanted to be this guy. Like every time I put on my uniform, I was this guy. And I wanted to run like this guy. And this guy, I now sit next to with a gold jacket on. Welcome the great Eric Dickerson, one of the greatest football players of all time. ED, you are in the perfect place. You are in the perfect place to do this shout out with your boy. I appreciate you. What's up, man? What's going on with you?
You got it, Ray, man. First of all, thanks for the introduction and thank you for such a great honor wanting to be me. I'm out here at the golf course. I'm not really playing golf. I'm just hitting balls. So you're not really disturbing me. So I'm good. So, however long it takes, I'm good with it. But thank you for having me on.
Man, ED, listen here. Absolutely, bro. Listen, I just got to say this, right? So interesting enough, right? 1985, 10 years old, but 1983, I'm 7 years old, man. And this guy name just keep coming up. So before I get into your rushing yards and all the things you did, ED, I got to ask this question. Where did the Jerry curl, the goggles, and the neck brace come from? Where did you see that set up at?
well, first of all, the Jerry curl, that was big back in the 80s. Jerry curl, especially brothers had the curl, called the curls for the girls. And my curl was not a greasy curl either. It wasn't one of those. But the neck roll, I saw my boy Craig James wore it in high school, and I liked the way it looked. So we didn't have it in high school. I got to college, that's when I started wearing the neck roll. I said, I don't think I ever told him. I give him credit for me wearing the neck roll. And the goggles, man, I couldn't see. I mean, I have really bad vision. So now when I was a kid, when playing in 7th grade football, they used to wear my school glasses because they didn't have sports glasses back then. And then it came out with the black rim glass, which are horrible looking. Then I got to the rec specs in the professional ranks. And I mean, I hated them things, man, but I had to have them. I couldn't see without them.
So those goggles were prescription?
Oh, if I took those goggles off, I couldn't see nothing. I mean, I'm blind. I tried to play with some contacts one time. I had to bring my goggles in, and I had contacts in. I think the first couple of plays I got hit, my contacts popped out. I hit it to the sideline and put the goggles back on. I had to wear them all the time.
Man, ED, I'm telling you, all the years I knew this, I didn't know that. I did not.
You didn't know that? You didn't know that?
Not know.
Man, I wouldn't have worn them. I wouldn't have been wearing them ugly things, man. Them things are horrible.
That was a fashion statement. There was this dude at Lakeland High School. He wore number 42, man. His name was Earl Motherseal. And he had the Jerry curl and he had those goggles.
Well, tell Earl, man, I did not like those goggles. I hated them goggles. They fogged up. But man, I'm honestly, Ray, if I didn't have those goggles, man, I couldn't see it all.
Oh,
like these I have on, these eyeglasses, they just in the sun they tint because man, my eyes are extremely bad.
Yeah. Okay, so I got you 80s. Either you did something in the 80s that people wasn't doing with a football in their hand. They wasn't doing it, ED. 1983, ED, you had 1,800 yards. 84, you come back with 2,000 yards. 86, you come back with another 1,800 yards. I mean, 88, you go to the Colts and you still end up with 1,700 yards. I'm trying to ask you, before you became ED, who inspired you to be ED? Did you always want to play running back? Or did you play a little defense?
I played both. I played free safety in high school. I played linebacker in 7th and 8th grade, but I like playing free safety because, you know, I was like, nobody gonna have no long runs unless he's not a touchdown. And then my senior year in high school, I played free safety and running back, and then they took me out playing defense, and I just strictly played offense. You know, my guy was OJ. I mean, that's who I looked up to because he was tall like me. You know, he was fast. I was a track guy. I ran track. I was sprinting. You know, but I was a sprinter. But I played football. I was a football player. People got confused. They think because you're tall and you're fast, that's all you are. But it was more to me than that. And a lot of people found that out, you know, in a quick way. But I took pride in it. I took pride in my speed. I took pride in my work ethic. You know, it's just being a football player, just like you did. I mean, I saw the way you played the same way, Ray. Yeah. But I loved that back position. I loved it. You know, it was a physical position back in our day. I mean, it really was. It was a grind out. I mean, guys hit you. They could really hit you back then. And if you didn't get those 25, 30 carries, man, you felt like you were being underused.
You know what? Now that's old school football mentality. Because now, ED, I mean, I know you watch the same game I watch. But now, I mean, we got guys tapping their helmet to come out.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that the worst? That is the worst. When I see a guy has a long run, say he's going about to go line, tapping his head. I'm like, no, dog, I'm staying the game so I get this touchdown. I worked this all the way down here.
ED, I say it all the time. I say, look, man, I'm telling you, Eric Dickerson ain't coming out of no game. I don't care if his tongue hanging out his mouth. He's not coming after no game after running into the goal line.
Ray, I can tell you, it was time. I just told my best friend a story. I said, I can remember times playing with the Rams that we ran the ball repeatedly, like 4 or 5 times in a row. And I might have a long run. And I go back to the huddle. I can remember times I would go back to the huddle going, breathing so hard. And then when I got in my stance and they went to that cage, I would go, and I'd stop breathing, get ready to get the ball. I mean, but that was the way, that was our makeup. That was the way most guys felt, man. We wanted to really stay in the game, help our team. And honestly, if you were down by the goal line, you ran it down there, you wanted to get the rewards. You wanted to kiss the prom queen. That's the goal line. You wanted to score that touchdown.
ED, listen. So we talking. See, this old school football though, ED. I mean, this old school because on the other side of that, if you from a linebacker perspective, you looking to see how hard he breathing, right? You looking to see if he, right? I'm paying attention, but I'm gonna tell you something, ED. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm telling you, next 2 days, I'm gonna send you a video clip. I'm telling you, and I want you to critique me and tell me I wasn't dressed just like ED. Oh, I'm telling you, I was rough. ED, I was rough. I had that deuce, and I had that neck brace flaming out. Oh, ED, I'm
you gotta have neck roll pulled out. You can't have it all tight like you know. No, the running back had to have it. It got to look good. It's got to look good.
You gotta look good. You know,
it's funny
bro.
You say, Ray, it's funny you said that talking about making a guy when you play the linebackers opposed to running back and how physical you guys play. My buddy Ricky Jackson, another Hall of Fame guy, when I played him, it was after my rookie season. And New Orleans back in those days, they were a physical defense with great linebackers. Yeah. I mean, they were known for hitting and talking to you. And after my rookie season, me and Ricky were at the Pro Bowl. I met him at the Pro. I didn't know him before the Pro Bowl. And we're sitting on the wall. We're sitting there talking. He said, Eric, man, I said, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you, we played you. He said, we saw you run. We haven't played you yet. He said, oh, he's pretty. He wants to run tall. Yeah. And that was their thing. They said, we're going to break you. We're going to hit you. You'll hit you under your chin. And I'll never forget. They would hit me, but I was giving it to him. And he said to me, Eric, I can't lie, man. We kept saying, man, we can't break him, man. The harder we hit him, the harder he runs. I said, man, that's all I know. I mean, I ain't going to give up like that. But you linebackers, man, I know how y'all think. Y'all want to hit him back or receiver, make him quit. Like that video I sent you the other day.
Hey, when you sent me that video of me hitting Ocho Cinco, I told you, I said, he picked the wrong fight.
He picked the wrong fight. He should have made a business decision.
You got to rethink that one. Which one was it? Which one was it that you leaned into the most? Your will or your talent?
Well, I think you'd have to say it's a little bit of both because and sometimes and you know this, Ray. Sometimes the talent just takes over, And sometimes certain games, man, everybody else out there is as talented as you are.
Yeah.
Think about that, because you're playing against running back, you're playing against the offensive lineman, just as talented as you are. They're just as big, they're just as fast. So sometimes it takes both. I mean, some days the talent just took over. It's like, man, some days it almost seemed easy, and other days it was work. I mean, you have to lay the work, and they would hit you, and they were getting their shots in, and it's just certain times you can't give up. So that's when the will comes in, where you say, look, I know it's going to be a tough day, and it's one of those days. I can't believe we played the Cleveland Browns, and that was back when they were good. And man, they were giving it to me. I can't lie. I mean, at halftime, I had a -6 yards.
Wow.
That was in my year. I ran for 2,000 yards. After the game was over, I think I had 104. But let me tell you something. That was the toughest 104 yards I'd ever gotten in my career. And I still remember that day.
Wow.
You know, it's just certain games. It's like they say your will has to take over.
Yeah. See, and so that's the thing, right? And so for me, ED, what I've been doing, I've been going backwards because because so many people, right? You know, we're in a crazy time in our world, and so many people have lost the foundation of a will, right? Because you're old school, I'm old school. And the will was the reason why me or you ain't tapping on our helmet. I can't tap on my helmet, right?
No,
forget talent, forget being tired. My will, I got to stay in this fight, because if I'm playing against ED, I can't come out the game.
No,
really?
Nope, you can't. You can't. Yeah, that mean you soft. I won't say the guy's name, but I played against him in the Cowboys. He was a linebacker. I did not like him, and he did not like me. And it goes back to our college days. It goes back to the college days. We didn't like each other. I mean, we played against each other in college. And I played against him a couple of times. He played for the Cowboys. And this one game, I think it was a playoff game when I had 248 yards. I came through and he tried to arm tackle me. And because he'd been talking the whole game, and I came back, I said, "Oh, that hurt, that didn't." And I didn't say much. I said, "Oh, that hurt, that didn't." And after the game, I found out he told me I broke his forearm. He said, "Eric, man, I just got to give you credit, man. Man, you're a great player, man." I said, "Man, thanks." You know, because you know it always feels good, Ray. It's the same thing for you too. When the other players on the other side, we know who can play. You know, we know who can play. You know, we know when the plays ain't working. It's like they call this crap. This crap ain't working. Why they calling this crap? We know what's working. Yeah. So, you know, for you, like when I watched you play, you know, you're much younger than me. I mean, I'd say, man, it's a great player. I mean, you know when guys are great. You know when they play hard. You want to see a guy play hard because, you know, the games don't go in our favor all the time. Sometimes we get blown out, but you've got to keep playing hard. You got to keep giving it your all.
See, that's what. And this leads me to my next question, right? Your best season, you would say, was which season? Was it the 2000 season?
My rookie season, man, was a great season too. But I'm gonna tell you, as a rookie, I gotta say, I actually ran out of gas. You know, because you know, as a rookie, you're not used to 16 weeks and 20 weeks of football back in those days because it was preseason and we played. So I wasn't used to it, so I kind of ran out of gas. But I think the one that really stands out to most is when I went to Indianapolis and wasn't the same offense, wasn't the same offensive line, but like you said, I still had 1,700 yards. When it wasn't the same talent there. And that's when your will and your talent has to take over. And that's what it came down to. But I'd say for my greatest season, for yards wise, and it would have to be the 2,000-yard season. I mean, that was a great season. It's hard to get 2,000 yards. I came close a couple other times, but it's just hard to get to that record.
It is hard, ED. And what's funny, I was 9 years old when you got those 2,000, right? And I'm telling you, my grandfather, we're sitting there watching it. The whole year, actually. So we went right after church. Right after church every Sunday, we would always stop.
I got to go to church now.
Yeah, you got it. Listen, you ain't watching no football without church. So
got to go to church.
So you got to get your church in. Look, I'm going to let you out of here in a minute, but I got to know, right? The hardest linebacker, the hardest defense you ever ran against. Was it Cleveland or was it somebody else?
I'm going to tell you, believe it or not, who gave me the roughest time. And it was the New England Patriots. And they wasn't even that good. But it was funny because I asked a couple of guys later, Blackman and some of the linebackers. I said, man, let me ask you a question. I said, man, why is it the week before Y'all will play somebody. Y'all may give up 200 yards. Y'all may give up 170. I said, then it came to me, it's like 100, 102, 85. He said, Eric, he said, man, we call it Dickerson week. He said, man, we got ready for you. He said, I'm telling you, it was Dickerson week that week. And so, man, the Patriots defense used to give me fits. I mean, it seemed to hit me in places where I didn't have pass, and I wore all the pass. I wore everything. They seemed they could get those shots in on me, but it's just certain teams that kind of have your number, and that team had my number. Wasn't even. I think about the Bears. I mean, I always played good against the Bears. I always had 100 yards on them, except the time they beat us in the NFC Championship game. But obviously, I had a lot of success against the Bears defense. They didn't give us any problems.
That's crazy. But that's one of the best defenses of all time, though, ED.
I know people say it. I always tease my friend Richard Dent about it. I said, if I'd have had a quarterback, if I'd had anybody at quarterback, my quarterback kicked for 50 yards that day. I mean, think about that, Ray. 50 yards. He said, because Richard Dent says, Eric, he said, man, 29 is not going to beat us. He don't care what nobody else does. And we had receivers that were open, man, but he just couldn't hit them. So, but that defense was a great defense. But the one that gave me the most fits, I'm telling you, man, was the New England Patriots. Man, they drove me crazy, man. I'm serious.
That blows my mind, ED. I would have made a lot of bets, but I would not have betted New England Patriots back then would have gave you that many problems. Was it the scheme? Was it the scheme, or was it just what? What was it about them?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I mean, they had really big linebackers. Their linebackers were like 6'3", 6'4", 250, 260. That was big back in those days.
Yeah, that was big.
But they gave me some major problems. And I think about the years at San Francisco, because they were in our conference with the Rams. I always had a great day against them. But man, I'm telling you, I don't know what it was like a nightmare. I mean, seriously. I mean, and you're talking about, you get to hitting somebody. They were hitting me. I'm like, man, this is frustrating. I never had a big run. It was always maybe like a 10-yard run, maybe a 15-yard, but that was about the biggest run I was going to get on them. And it was a lot of 5, 6, 3, 4, 2, and caught in the backfield, a lot of that.
Give me, look, this ain't no order. This ain't no ranking, because I don't get into all that. Everybody had their era.
Exactly. You said everybody got their era.
Everybody had their era. So I don't get into that. I don't get into that. Who's the best, whatever. Anyway. But I want to hear ED, all time you've seen, not by no number, not by no rating, but who's the best running backs you've seen?
Well, and I'm just throwing the guys out there.
Yeah, totally. This ain't no
that I saw play. I didn't see Jim Brown play, but I saw a tape on him. So I can't say I saw him play, but Jim was great. I mean, the tape I saw was great. But I can say guys that I saw with my own eyes. Yeah. I saw OJ. I saw Walter. I played against Walter. I saw Earl Campbell play. I saw Barry Sanders play.
Oh my goodness.
It's just so many. I saw Marcus Allen play, but it's just so many guys that's right there on that list you put on that list. I mean, that I think I saw James Wilder. People may know who James Wilder is.
I know who James Wilder is.
Play for the Bucks.
Yeah, play for the Bucks. Absolutely.
Right, big back, James Wilder. I mean, it's some guys that
32, right?
Right, 32. Right,
32.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of guys. I mean, Atlanta has some great backs. I mean, but it's just like you said it best, man. And I hate when people say that the greatest of all time. I would say, who did you see in your era? Like kids now,
that's it.
Like they don't know me. I mean, they see me. They know me on Nintendo. They see me on Madden. So that's how they know me. They never saw me play. There was one kid that it's funny. He didn't even know who Michael Jordan was. I'm like, he said, no, who is that? I say, he played basketball. He said, like LeBron James? Yeah, like LeBron James, better than LeBron James. But that's just to show you what era you saw the guys playing.
No, bro, you know what? And that's, look, this last one. So Mike Ditka as a coach, I mean, your counterpart on the other side, you saw during your years, you had OJ, you had Marcus, you had Barry, you had, oh my gosh, Earl Campbell. What type of athlete was Bo Jackson?
Bo was a great athlete, but Bo was like, in a sense, like Dion. Right. He could do it all, and that's what it comes down to. But, in our era, like I played baseball. I don't know baseball. I was a track guy in football, but you had to pick one. You know, you had to pick it. But Bo was a great athlete, man. I mean, he could play baseball, play football.
What you ran in track though? What did you run in track?
I ran 100 and 200. I won state in 100 and 200 in Texas.
That's why the stride was like that.
if you win state in Texas, you got to be able to run. You know? So I won state in 100 and 200 in the state of Texas. But you know, and I think I love track and field. I loved it. But you know, I didn't have any coaching. You know, like the coaching they got now. I look at all these coaching, like my daughter runs. I'm like, man, if I'd have had that, my God, I mean, I don't know how fast I'd have been.
Wait. Okay, so go backwards. Explain that. What do you mean you had no coaching? What does that mean?
You know, you don't like right now they have the true proper coaching. Like for us, when I ran track, you just ran. I mean,
they just say get out there and run.
Get out there and run. You know, get out there and run. What events you want to run? I knew what events I ran from 7th grade on up to high school. Yeah, and I like to sprint. I like sprints. I mean, I love the 100 and 200. That was my race. Like in the reach 100-yard dash, I ran a 9.39 100-yard dash.
A 9.39 100-yard dash?
That was a 100-yard dash. But you know, they went to meters in the state meet. I ran in the 100, 20.6. That was my race. Was a 200. I love the 200. So you know, like I said, we didn't have all the coaching, you know, all the nutrition, you know, like massages and all that kind of stuff. Man, we didn't have all that kind of stuff. We didn't know nothing about all that kind of stuff. You know, speed work. We know what no speed work is. Speed work, goddamn, you know, we're gonna run hundreds. We're gonna run 150s a day. You know, that's what our speed. We my track coach is my football coach. He didn't know about no track.
AD, that's so true though.
Yeah,
like
true.
whatever coach you had when you was younger, he coached more than one sport.
That's right. He coached more than one sport. That's the truth, Ray. You got that right.
Yeah, man. Listen, bro. Listen, you are listen, first class all the way around. The moment that you got the knock and that call on your door to put on that gold jacket to join those brothers that we stand beside now, what did that moment feel like many years ago?
You know, Ray, for me, it meant a lot because I was a guy through all through high school, junior high, was told that I wasn't good enough. He lucky, man. Oh, he lucky, man. He only got them yards. You know, their best defensive players wasn't out there. Oh, they didn't play good that day. Oh, he ain't that fast. You know, he can't. Wait till you get to college. You're gonna see. You know, he ain't gonna be that good in college. You know, I got to college. See, when my freshman year, I struggled. I struggled a little bit, but I caught on. Oh man, you know, yeah. He can't play pro football, you know, and then all of a sudden I play pro football. You gonna see them, the big boys up there. You know, you hear all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you've heard it too. Yeah. You know, and then I played pro football. Oh yeah, he okay, but he ain't my kind of back. Just wait till next year. The next year I had 2,000 yards. You know, he good, but he ain't all that. I mean, I just heard it all, Ray. I mean, not just from the naysayers, but you know, sports writers and everything else. You know, you hear that kind of stuff, and because I wasn't a favorite. I mean, I was very outspoken. You know, I was a guy that they say ruffle feathers. You know, and you know, back in them days, you didn't ruffle the feathers. And I mean, I was that guy, and it wasn't about a bad thing. It was just, you know, I wanted to be paid proper. I just said they didn't treat the players right in certain ways, and I was outspoken about it. Yeah. But for me, getting that jacket, it solidified my career. I mean, and people ask me about it. You know, what do you think if you think you're going to Hall of Fame for all the controversy and stuff, you know, for your career? I said, well, first of all, I didn't have a controversial career. I mean, I wasn't no bad guy. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't beat women. You know, I didn't drive drunk. I didn't do drugs, none of that. I just spoke my mind. I said I played football. I was a football player. You might not like me. I said, but I was a football player, and I gave it 100% when I played. The guy said, and I told him, I said, I'll stay this much here. I said, you take my stats, and you put them against anyone that's ever played that position, ever played it. I said, my stats are going to be better or just as good. I said, I rest my case. He said, Eric, you're right there. You're correct. And it was funny when I got in, a friend of mine, a sports writer, he told me, he said, Eric, he said, I just want to tell you, he said, man, you were a unanimous choice. But he said, but one guy wouldn't vote for you. He said, and we asked him, you know, why? He said, and just show you how political things is. Yeah. He said, because he held out. He said, what does that guy do playing football? It had nothing to do with playing football. I just can't vote for a guy that held out. So, you know, it just goes to show, no matter how great you play, no matter how hard what 100% you give it, it's going to be somebody out there that's not gonna like you for whatever the reason is, and they'll have their reason.
ED, I don't know what he talking about, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking about. I get the forever. We can never be kicked off of this team, brother. Nope. So I get to forever walk beside you as your brother for life. And I'm telling you, as your brother, somebody who studied you and just wanted to be you at a point in my life, brother, you inspire me. And I tell people this all the time, ED, you just never know who you inspire. You never know who's watching you, brother.
That is so true, Ray.
Man, ED, I paid attention to you, bro. ED, you have no clue. There were nights when I couldn't eat and didn't have clothes. Just watching you brought me through that. I'm telling you, just your effort, your will, right? That's why you said it's a little bit of both. I believe talent, you have to work on talent to make it work. But right. your will, that's a choice. That's a choice to give it what you gave it, man. So, brother, I love you, man. Thank you so much for joining me, man. I mean, absolutely amazing. And I say, you joined me from the best place in the world on a golf course.
See, my golf club right back here behind me. Right behind me, right? Ray, man, I want to say this, man. Bro, thank you for having me on your show, man. And I want to tell you, as a former player, and like I said, we both in the Hall of Fame, and I'm much older than you, man. But it was a pleasure watching you play. I just want to tell you that, because guys like you, it's very few guys like you. And I mean that. It's very few guys that put the dedication and the hard work in. And it was fun watching you play on defense. And you always wonder how we'd have played against each other. I always tease you.
Oh, be careful, ED. Don't you do this.
How we have matched up against each other?
ED, don't you do this to me right now. You're going to drop that question and then go out there swinging your golf clubs.
Hey, thank you. We'll never know, so we just talk about it. That's it.
We'll never know. Brother, God bless you, man. Thank you so much, man.
Okay, brother. Have a good one.
Yeah, brother.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. And I'm telling you, I don't care who it is, man. From Marcus Allen to Eric Dickerson to Earl Campbell to Jim Brown, me and Papa Brown. Oh, my gosh. The conversations that we have about if we would have ever seen each other. Jim Brown said something one time that it was similar to what Eric Dickerson said. Jim Brown said, "Me and you see each other, Ray, that's a lot of trouble." And I look at Papa, I said, "Papa, woof, what I see on film, you running." But I'm telling you, I want you to think about something and I'm gonna jump in really, really quick, right? Because just checking in and going to the thoughts on what life is, right? Like checking into like what's been going on. Like it's this new thing that's going on. And I got a real big project I'm working on, a couple of projects, and it's just so exciting to be working on the projects that I'm working on. But something interesting about the projects and the people who's doing it for me, I won't break the silence yet, it'll come out soon. But they're asking me to go backwards. So I have to actually go backwards and reflect a little bit on what I did and what I accomplished. And I'm 45 years old and I've never watched a television game from when I was in college or even watched a game in 1993 when I was first started. I never saw these games. But let me tell you something that I noticed that I've been going through. I've been going through a point of realizing, ED said it, it was a little bit of talent, but it was more of a will. Everything that I was surrounded around, and I'm talking about I'm surrounded around greatness. I got a picture on the television that I'm watching. We're playing Rutgers. And just imagine these names. Me, Warren Sapp, and Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, are in one huddle looking at each other, and they're grabbing me saying, and I'm 17 years old. I'm 17 years old, and they're looking at me saying, "Go make a play." And I'm saying to myself, fast forward, I'm like, wow. But each individual that I just called out had a certain will about themselves. When you went to the University of Miami, you was built on talent. And this is kind of where my thoughts come in at, right? Because willingness is such an important commodity in life. Just understand this, right? Because it's actually more valuable than anything that you can hold in both of your hands. Willingness, like being able to overcome anything. Watch this. Determination is the wake-up call to the human will. Now watch this. At 16 years old, I was determined to outrun my best friend Kwame in a foot race. But he was a track star, so he always beat me. And every time, and then one day at 16 years old, I said, man, race me. I was determined to beat him. I said, race me. He said, all right, let's race 40. And I said, no, let's go 60. Because I knew I had the human will to push a little bit harder. And we ran 60 yards. And I never forget that my best friend Kwame, we got at about 45 to 50 yards, and I was neck and neck on his shoulder. And he will tell you the same story. The human will took over, and I looked at him and I said, it's over. And I pulled out at the end, but it was the human will that pushed me over that. And from that day, my confidence through the roof. See, because we can conquer any stumbling block as long as our will outshines doubt. Doubt, worry, fear, all of those things are going to be around forever. I had a stuttering problem when I was a child, and I used to always be afraid to speak around people. But I was always bold enough to do it because my message is still the message it is today. I love God with all of my heart. And there's no young man or young kid you're going to go get on my block to outwork me. It's just not happening. And I never forget my senior year at the state championship, right? I walked into the finals, and this kid was bigger than me. He was stronger than me. And all the doubt that I had in my head and all the stumbling blocks that I couldn't do, let me tell you something. I conquered every fear. And when I walked on that mat and I looked at this kid, he was bigger, oh, so much bigger than me. And I looked at him, and the ref got ready to blow the whistle. And I looked at him and I said, ain't no way out of this one. And the ref said, stop talking, Red. And I meant that. I meant that because I was there to conquer something. Listen to me carefully. Free will isn't doing anything you want. It's having the freedom to do what's right. That's what life, that's the opportunity that life gives each and every one of us. When you figure out what the freedom to do right, your will overrides any worry, any doubt, any fear, any stress, anything. The human will. This is regardless of religion, right? My God himself cannot change the human will. The only person that can do that is you. Today is special for me because someone years ago when I was 9 years old and 7 years old in 1983, this guy inspired me. And I'm reflecting now and going back because of the projects and things that I'm working on. But I want to share something with you. Don't loan your willingness to somebody. Keep your determination locked up in certain boxes and safes that you will never let nobody in. And you can conquer anything that you put your mind to. But when you make up your mind to will yourself to win, I want you to go back and take one last caption from my last time I ever played in the Super Bowl. There was one time I was in that game and my whole right side of my body was numb. And I looked at Kirk Franklin on the sideline, who was my guest, him and his wife. And I screamed at Kirk because my body was hurting so bad. I screamed at Kirk, no weapon, no weapon. And I trusted God to send me back on that field, knowing that I had my mind intact, but the body was weary. my faith, my strength, my willingness to believe that I can finish the race. There's a race in your life that you need to finish. There's some things that you're going through. There's some pain that you may have to feel. Mine was a torn tricep. But there's a pain and there's some doubts and there's some black eyes that you got to overcome. And I'm going to ask you to do something. Don't stop now. You're right there. I promise you, your breakthrough is on the other side of it. And I want to round up by simply saying, every day of my life, I find a different way to challenge my will. It's not my talent. Your talent can only get you in the door. Your will keeps the door closed. And this is not about just being physically gifted. This is about having the will to be a respectful young man. This is about having a will to not just learn one position in sports, but know everything the way a coach knows it. This is the will. Some people say, understand your why. I say, understand why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing. Takeaways. ED said something, it'll never leave my spirit. The things you got to block out that you hear people say about you. The things you can't make it. You won't make it. You won't. The things I heard, you're too small. You won't make it. And the people that wrote it are credible people in their world. But I always say this. Be careful of somebody who's never spent a day with you on following their report of who you are and where you're headed. These takeaways is about conquering your greatest fears. I had a fear of speaking. I broke that fear by continuing to speak. I've never stopped since. I had another fear. I had a fear that one day I would fail. And then I started chasing failure. And I realized, leaving you guys with this, the human will is a gift. And it's the most valuable thing. It's the most valuable possession that you will ever have in your life. It's not how much money you can make. It's not your paychecks that you get from your job. It's not the car you drive or the house you have. What's inside of you determines how far you go. I just want to thank you for joining, because I get the pleasure and the blessings to change one life a day. And if you don't do nothing else, take one thing from today and practice it. And do me a favor, come back next week. God bless you. Thank you for joining the show. Everyday greatness, absolutely no excuses, and the human will is the greatest gift ever given. God bless you.